So they were provided all information on confidentiality. They had to describe a 100-word version of their startup that would accompany this request, and they should generate list of their own professional contacts before the investors were revealed. So they are looking at their own contacts who will be suitable for that and doing this, right? And then the investors are revealed, and then they're asked to nominate new contacts that are not part of this list. So then we get two sets of contacts which are non-overlapping. Contacts around you, contacts around the venture capitalist, right? And send the assigned templates. The entrepreneurs are to send assigned templates. Right? So to generate names of who are your contacts, we ask questions: 3 to 5 people who currently you rely for support, you rely for referring, you are rely for valuable advice and trust. This is to get before we show them the investors. Once we had the ego proximate, entrepreneur proximate contacts, we showed the investors and said, here are the 4 investors. Now give us new set of individuals you want to nominate with who are not overlapping with the first set. Right? So that's how we got target to proximate contacts. So if you can see, ego proximate contacts, most 6 was the sort of the modal number, right? So whereas the target proximate contacts, the mode was 1, right? 1, right? Because they were struggling to nominate more contacts closer to the venture capitalists. Right? So you got more contacts with the ego proximate as we would expect, but less with the target contact. They all had to send the standard message. The standard message was to the contact. It got the same standard message. You are well. You can forward this message to the investors. Even if you don't know the investor, forward it to somebody who might know. Right? This was the standard message. And the common message had the 100-word description of the venture and the entrepreneur. And then we randomly assigned some of the contacts to get just the facts, the baseline message. Some of them got little bit more that say, needless for us to mention, you will earn our heartfelt gratitude for forwarding this email. We look forward to reciprocating your help and support in the future, appropriate in the future. That was the reciprocity. Randomly, we picked a set of contacts and then gave them the reciprocity thing. And message C was monetary incentives. If it is fine with you, we would like to propose a finder's fee. What Sunendra and others were referring to. For you, 1% of the funds raised capped at $1,000 if the investors referred by you fund our venture. And just so that we are clear, we didn't want the intermediary or the network contacting the entrepreneur is paying. We said the workshop team will reimburse them for the $1,000. It's not going out from the entrepreneur. Yeah. So monetary incentives, reciprocity baseline, and we randomly assign these contacts to with this, right? So we did the random assignment. The entrepreneur just gave us the names. We did the random assignment and said, these people should get this template, this people should get this template, this people should get this template. So 42 entrepreneurs, 13 were female, 29 male, right? They sent out 441 contacts and they copied us. Ego proximate contacts are 186, target contacts are 225. The assignment of monetary reciprocity baseline was roughly 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, right? And total about 40 of these contacts in turn actually reached the investors and were treated as an actual reach. We measured other social capital variables, right? I'll skip over these slides. I'll go to directly the graph. So when compared to entrepreneur-centric contract, investor-centric contact was more likely to reach more likely to have a successful referral. Right? Order of magnitude more times. Right? Again, compared to baseline, Reciprocity was more likely to be better message. There was no effect of offering monetary incentives. Monetary incentives and baseline had about the same chance of reaching. So in a regression framework, you should be focused on panel A. The results target proximate is significant, and so is reciprocity. If you look at the monetary incentives, it's not significant. Obviously, if you could, the extension of this paper is maybe for the close contacts, you tell them reciprocity. For the distant contacts, you tell them monetary incentives, it's more likely to work. The fit between that. When we ran that, the things in the green, which was not hypothesized, go in the same direction, but we had so few cases, the standard errors blew up, and these are not very stable results, right? Because of small sample size. If somebody wants to build on this and do further work in larger samples, they can do other things. Right? We did a whole bunch of robustness checks that usually we do to get through the whole thing. I'll skip over that to us in the interest of time and come back to the key findings. The first finding that we can tell our entrepreneurs is go look at the target and the people around them. Even though you don't know them, try focusing all of your attention on them. The likelihood of taking your plan and working it is low, but you should focus all your attention on them because it's unlikely that the links will go through. Something Krishna has mentioned and Sunindra also hinted at, right? Reciprocity, as always, right? We will be in your debt, we'll look forward to paying back inappropriately in the future, is much better than neutral message. There's no effect of monetary incentives. Perhaps they thought the monetary incentive wasn't high enough. Perhaps they didn't expect really to be provided the monetary incentives, but monetary incentives did not work. Why? I mean, we don't have a deeper dive onto that, right? It's a randomized controlled trial. The results we have are the results we have. In addition, as we would expect from theory, the better connected entrepreneurs pick better people and they're more likely to succeed. So always the better connected entrepreneurs who had work experience, backgrounds or histories, however we measured connections, they were more likely to be successfully referred because anybody looked at their profile and were happy to refer them, right? Or because they had trusted contacts, they picked on that they would refer them to. But beyond just the connections of the entrepreneur, structural agenting action matters. The agenting actions are twofold, which I mentioned. Reach out to the investor-centric contacts and also reciprocity is more generally would do it. Obviously, we did this in India, 2 places, and in Singapore, the cultural differences might be similar, different, but the results are similar across the 3 places. When we pooled and run the analysis, we get the same results in the 3 studies. There might be cultural issues that are specific to Asia, where reciprocity might be more the norm. Then market-based transactions in some individual countries, market-based transactions might be more the norm. So that may not translate. So this might be limited to. And they were really, really tough to run these field studies. We had 60, 70 entrepreneurs signed up, but when we went in, then the show-up rates and then the going through was very, very difficult. It took 3 years to run these 3 studies because we had to learn, we had to restart, we had to do the recruitment and things like this. Yeah, but it's a problem I'm interested in networks and venture capital activation and how can entrepreneurs overcome this. Bala is also a network scholar at NCR, and he's done some work on entrepreneurs in Bangalore and other places. So this was our sort of our passion in some sense to understand and connect this better. So this is more to the academic side, right? The academic side here just thinks the connected entrepreneur is like the hero or heroine, right? They'll figure this out. They know what to do. They will do this, right? But we show beyond this level of connectedness, the type of connections you focus on and the message you send matters. Obviously, the fit between the message and type of connections we could not investigate in the study because our sample sizes were very small. Right? So that brings me to the conclusion of my talk. Let me pause here and see if you have any questions. Thank you, Krishna.
Definitely.
Yeah, my question was about the correlation to sales. You probably could not answer that question. Would you like to attempt that? So
Yeah.
is it any different in sales situations?
Yeah. So sales, most startups, especially that the venture capitalists focus on, have no sales to speak of, and they are burning cash in the
No,
hobby.
I'm not saying that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about any salesperson, an enterprise salesperson, will face the same challenge of reaching to the customer. The customer is an enterprise,
so
or the customer is government.
so this is more general in terms of things, right? Yeah. So my let me talk about my brother, right? It's always good to talk about your brother's. My brother was a political reporter, did his journalism course from a Chennai-based school and worked in Times of India. Then went did development studies in Manchester, was going to work for development organization. Instead, he joined a computer service firm, started selling computer software with somewhat limited background. So, and then I asked him the same, how would you do this, right? And then he would say, I would rely on both my own contacts and then look at the person itself and see if I can reach to somebody around there, right? And my brother was one of the key people based out of London. He built their enterprise sales from 0 to 12 million per annum in revenue, right? So he was fairly successful doing this. And he said both helped. But what helped for him afterwards was once he had a few customers, his customers bought in more customers because of his reputation. Because he delivered, he got this in, he got the victorious cycle going in terms of this. But initially he said, I used both people around me and people, the target focus. But at some point, if you're in sales, your customers have to be the voice to other people, Sunindra, if this makes sense to you, right? Because we want advocacy from our customers. That's the best proof they have, right? Satisfied customers who then refer others to.
Thank you.
I can see. The results be different if the investor is an angel or a VC. Angel has limited resources, but usually VC a lot more. Yeah. So I think generally the reasons might hold for early stage investors and VCs are more or less similar, right? Because the angels might have more time on their hands and also might specialize in a particular area, right? Or a couple of universities or a couple of locations. They might have more time to spend on entrepreneurs, screening the entrepreneurs. And it's the angels that sometimes take the deals to the VCs, right? So the results, I think, are broadly similar at the very early stages we are considering this yeah.
Okay.
Okay. If you have no further questions, I really appreciate the opportunity. I thank Professor Pillai and for the opportunity. And I said it was a privilege and honor to be here. And I really appreciate and mean this. It's a privilege and honor to be here. The paper is published in SMJ. If you need a copy of the paper, do send me an email. I'm happy to send you the paper. And also, I look forward to working with Dr. Pillai and Harita and the PhD students that Pillai has in any areas on this broad space if there's some interest on this. Again, thank you for the opportunity. Let me be a good guest and end on time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reddy. So, do we have any other questions from the crowd? Okay. So if it's no, I would like to invite Professor Pillai. He is Faculty of Finance at Department of Management Studies, IIT Madras, and he is also the Principal Investigator of the Research Center. Sir, could you please share a few thoughts?
No, I don't want to take much time, Harita. So congratulations, Reddi, for the paper getting published in SMJ, and it's good for many of the young researchers here to have listened to the author of the paper that is going to come in SMJ. I think you have also, towards the end of the lecture, kind of highlighted the difficulties that actually goes through, right, in terms of doing quality research, the time and effort it takes. And I think this is going to be very important, and for researchers to know this, that research is going to be a lot of things have to fall in place to come out with the high quality research. I think it's important for most of the people out here. So thank you so much for sharing that perspective as well. And I also like the way in which the problem has been conceptualized, right? So proximal contacts and distal contacts, and looking at it as a very nice trade-off, and which is more effective. And together, I think I enjoyed a lot. I'm just hoping that this could be a start to some long-term collaboration between us. I think there seems to be a very good link. Before Saras, we also had Lakshmi Balachandra, who's from Babson, to talk in this platform. So we seem to be having a nice connect into networks in the entrepreneurship research area, who's coming on this platform. And in fact, I would also like to, in case if you think that you know somebody who could be a good guest for this platform, just do let me know. We will write to them and then have them share their work with our research team as well. So thank you so much, Reddi.